Many advancements in technology determined the outcome of the war. The atomic bomb was merely an idea, but scientists in the 1930s were then able to learn how to split nuclei of elements, causing a tremendous amount of energy. At the same time, scientists knew little about what this could lead to, but over the next decade, they learned more about the atom and the effects that came from it. Albert Einstein was one of the world's most famous scientists. Early on in the war, Einstein asked President Roosevelt for the okay to proceed with the making of the atomic bomb. Roosevelt made the development of the bomb the nation's highest priority. The main leaders involved in the project were General Leslie Groves and physicist J. Robert Oppenheimer. Groves was responsible for the building facilities, getting the necessary materials, recruiting scientists, and providing security. Oppenheimer was in charge of the scientific aspect of the project. He worked at a construction site in Los Alamos, New Mexico. Many other scientists were involved in the project, including refugees from Europe, along with Enrico Fermi, who was the developer of the first atomic reactor. The first atomic bomb test took place in Alamogordo, New Mexico on July 16, 1945. The light from the test could be seen from 180 miles away and heard from 100 miles away. At this point, the team involved in the project knew the bomb would be able to end the war in Japan. The decision to use this bomb was now given to Harry Truman. Truman was fully aware of the effects caused by using the bomb, especially against civilians. He knew as well that the Axis powers were working towards a bomb of their own, but didn't know how close they were. Truman's ultimate goal was to save American lives. His advisors predicted that another invasion in Japan could cost up to 1 million American casualties. Truman's end decision was to go through with this bomb because he knew in the end it would save the lives of Americans. On August 6, 1945, the United States dropped an atomic bomb on Hiroshima. The bomb exploded at 9:14 a.m., leaving devastation. In the first 2 minutes of the explosion, more than 60,000 of the 344,000 residents of Hiroshima were dead or missing. The following 3 days, the Japanese leaders debated on calling a surrender or to keep fighting. August 9th, the Soviet Union declared war on Japan, invading Manchuria. After that, the United States dropped the second bomb on Nagasaki.
In April 1943, British and American officials hosted the Bermuda Conference to discuss the possibility of rescuing the surviving Jewish refugees from Europe, but no action was taken. In 1944, FDR established the War Refugee Board, which worked with the Red Cross to save thousands of Eastern European Jews in Romania and Hungary. Only few were saved. The Soviet Union was closest to Hitler's death camps, but Stalin showed no concern. Britain and the U.S. focused their resources on defeating Hitler, not his campaign. They eventually bombed railroad ways to the death camps. The Allies also refused to pressure countries within the Nazi sphere of influence to stop transportation to the Jews to Germany. The U.S. led the charge for the establishment of the United Nations. It was meant to succeed where the League of Nations had failed. In April 1945, delegates from 50 nations met in San Francisco to write the charter, which the Senate ratified, and its permanent home in New York City. It was organized on the basis of cooperation between the great powers. The allies of World War II, the U.S., the Soviet Union, Britain, France, and China had permanent seats as the Secretary Council, which also the United Nations moved away from colonialism, helped to create the Jewish state of Israel, mediated regional conflicts, and provided food and other aid to most of the world. They also issued the Universal Declaration of Human Rights in 1948. The US and Soviet Union had played the most decisive roles in defeating the Axis powers and emerged from the war confident and strong. They became known as the superpowers. Of the two, the US was stronger, except for the attack on Pearl Harbor, the only battle on American soil. The American industry had boomed, and America was wealthy, militarily powerful, and confident. Most of the war was fought on Soviet soil. Its industries, cities, and people had suffered terribly, but the Red Army controlled most of Eastern Europe and threatened to move further west. The Americans had the atomic bomb, and the Soviets the Red Army, the world's largest military force. On August 6, 1945, the U.S. dropped an atomic bomb on Hiroshima. Within 2 minutes, more than 60,000 of Hiroshima's residents were dead or missing. 3 days later, Japanese leaders debated whether to surrender or continue to fight. On August 9th, the Soviet Union declared war on Manchuria. Then the U.S. dropped the second atomic bomb on Nagasaki, killing 35,000 residents. Finally, Emperor Hirohito decided to surrender. On August 15th, Allies celebrated VJ, victory in Japan, but they officially surrendered September 2nd on the USS Missouri. The most costly war in history was over. As many as 100,000 people, mostly civilians, had died in the conflict.